Okay, so we're going to go over the April 30th daily word problem. And if you are going over this problem with me, that means you've already done it. You have shown your work in your notebook. You have written an answer statement, and you have labeled your numbers. Okay, so this is another area or perimeter problem, and it says Mrs. Mabb's e-learning classroom is getting very crowded, and that is the truth. She wants to put another small table beside her computer. She measures with a ruler and finds she has 12 inches of length and 12 inches of width that can be used for a table. What would the area of the tabletop be if she filled this space? Remember to label your answer with a proper unit, which for area, and this is talking about inches, would be square inches, and write an answer statement. Now, for this particular problem, I made kind of a model. I had this grid paper, and this grid paper actually has squares that are an inch long and an inch wide. Okay, so each of these squares is 1 square inch. Okay, 1 square inch. So when we're talking about area, let me make this a little bigger. I just wanted you to see my grid paper. When we're talking about area and we're talking about square inches, we're finding out how many of these squares would fit in a specific place. And for this question, I'm talking about if I wanted a tabletop, how many square inches would it be? Okay, so let's see what it said here. And I know the length and the width were the same, so that means it was a square. So we have 12 inches, 12 inches. So that means if the width and the length were 12 inches, all the way around is 12 inches. But remember, we're talking about the area, the inside, what the tabletop would be. So we're not talking about just the perimeter, we're finding the area. So I could then think about when we did rows and columns, and I'm going to, this is probably going to get messy, I'm going to make 12 columns and 12 rows. Okay, so I divide it in half, so I could do that first, and then I'll divide it into fourths, and each of these fourths will have to have 3, because I know that 3 times 4 is 12. So I have 12. Now I got to do the same here, so divide that in half, and I divide it in half again. And I bet some of you are thinking, but why are we going to do all of that? I know my 12 facts. Well, you know what? That's great, because then you don't have to do all this. That's why we learn our facts. So we don't have to go around drawing pictures for everything. But in the meantime, now I'm not going to count all these. And if you don't know your 12 facts, I wonder if you remember how we can use a distributive property to multiply 12 times 12. Well, we could do a couple things. We could break this 12 up into 10 plus 2, right? And then we could do 10 times 12 plus 2 times 12. If you didn't know your 12 facts, okay? Because 12 is 10 plus 2. And I know that anything I multiply by 10, all I have to do is add a 0 to the front. So 10 times 12 is 120 plus 2 times 12. Well, if I didn't know 2 times 12, I could do the same thing with that and do 2 times 10 plus 2 times 2. But I know some of you know 2 times 12, but I'm going to do this. 2 times 10 is 20, plus 2 times 2 is 4. So we have 120 plus 20 plus 4. 120 plus 20. 120 plus 20 is 140 plus 4, 144. Now, I'm not just going to put 144. The question was, what would the area of the whole tabletop be if she filled the space? So the area of the tabletop would be 144 square inches. Square inches. Please write the whole answer statement and label your number.